Hello and welcome to the English part of the session where we'll talk to you about supporting your child with English at Prince Henry's. So what is the purpose of this session? On this slide you'll see a what and a why, and that's what we use in all our lessons in English to show the child exactly what they're learning and also the reason for learning it. What we'd like to do is work closely with parents to help develop the English skills that they need and also get your feedback on the types of support that parents really need and want. The first area to look at is interpreting your child's English book. So every student in Key Stage 3 will have a student learning and progress record. It will be in the front of their book or in the back of their book. And where on this record we will record a writing or a reading task which we will alternate on a half-term basis. A non-track judgment will be given depending on what the student's MEA is, which I'm sure during this evening you're going to have explained to you in more detail. Students will be expected to record the feedback they're given because our focus is on their skills and developing those skills over time. So it's very important that they reflect on those. Accompanying this PowerPoint, you will find quite a few English resources that go with the things that I am explaining to you. One of the things you will find is a copy of our assessment matrix that parents in the past have found very useful. On one side are the writing skills that we use, that we assess, and on the other are the reading skills. The skills are organised in MEA bands. That's minimum expected attainment. Like I said earlier, that will be explained in more detail to you. And it covers the skills your child should be demonstrating if they're at a particular level. As you can see from the picture there, that's an example of an assessed piece of work. The ST stands for stamp because we try and reward all our students as much as we can. And the OT stands for on track because that student has hit their MEA. And the most important thing on there is the CT. It stands for challenge task. And what we're asking the student to do is to look at their work and improve it and act on the feedback given. The biggest area I think to talk about is getting your child reading, because reading, as we all know, is crucial at English, and certainly as they go through Prince Henry's and head towards their GCSEs, being a good reader and a solid reader and developing that vocabulary is absolutely essential. The curriculum at Key Stage 3 was first introduced, the one that we're using at the moment is 2014. And in there, it says that children need to develop an appreciation and love for reading and read increasingly challenging material independently through their reading of a wide range of fiction and non-fiction in years 7 to 9. Now, we know that it's not always the case that students love reading, and it's quite difficult for some students to become fluent in reading. But I think it's absolutely crucial that we don't give up and we keep encouraging them. The range that we will actually teach your child is quite a wide range. English literature, both pre-1914 and contemporary, including prose, poetry and drama. And this year in particular, we've put a huge amount of effort into organising the curriculum so that children get a very varied and detailed range of English literature. But also our English department's ethos is all about reading and the love of reading and trying to instill that in our students. We will cover Shakespeare plays, 2 plays over the 3 years. So in year 7 currently, we introduce Shakespeare, we do an author study, and we look at Shakespearean sonnets. So again, challenging, but a good introduction as well to Shakespeare. And 2 complete plays will then be covered in year 8 and year 9. Seminal world literature is also on the national curriculum, and previous texts that we did at GCSE of Mice and Men now are in year 9. So, like I said, reading fiction and non-fiction is crucial. So raising the profile of reading at home would be an excellent way to ensure reading skills are developing in readiness for year 11. Letting your offspring see you read, I think, is very important, and certainly parents in the past have found it very useful just to all sit down together with a book or even take turns reading books to one another. But getting used to that is an excellent way of encouraging your child to read more independently. With the resources, I've put on there for you a Prince Henry's reading list, which has suggestions from some of our students and staff. I've also got some articles there from the Independent and the Guardian newspapers that have their own suggestions for what teenagers should be reading, and both of them are very useful. The new GCSE specification has a focus on 19th century literature, so your child will be introduced to more of that during Key Stage 3. Every student receives a fortnightly reading lesson at Key Stage 3, and we've developed that a lot this year. We want to support their fiction and non-fiction reading skills, so half of the lesson will be teaching them the actual skills, and part of the lesson will also be encouraging them to read in silence and share what they're reading with one another. Along with the resources, you will find a non-fiction text, which I've used in these evenings in previous years. If you have a look at that, it's actually an example of a GCSE style retrieval question. So I'll just give you an idea of what level that we are bringing our students up to. Encouraging your child to read non-fiction would be, again, a great way to support their progress at secondary school. So reading articles, The Guardian online publishes opinion articles for free, and they're very useful to read with a student and discuss the ideas and the viewpoints within those articles. But autobiography, biography, anybody your child is interested in is a good way to get them reading more. The final sort of section that we look at during this evening is our supporting child's technical accuracy. Spelling, punctuation and grammar, I'm sure you're aware from primary school, has huge emphasis, and it's the same at Key Stage 3. But our slant on it is more about sort of that independence and being able to proofread your own work. Students are so keen to get home learning out of the way that they'll often rush it off, and they don't then take the time to spend that 5 minutes reading over it and self-correcting. In the adult world, hopefully most of us check emails and anything that we're sending out, but for children that's a skill, and it's a skill that they have to learn. So if you would like to help your child and support them by reading over work, and maybe in pencil just gently underline where some of the errors are, and then they can go back then and sort out those errors themselves. We encourage our child to not worry about the neatness of it, but correct it. Find a capital letter or a full stop that's missing, and you can certainly point them in the areas that they need to be looking at. With our pack of resources, I've put on there tips for parents from the National Council of Teachers of English, and that's got lots of ideas on how to help your teenager improve their writing and their accuracy. There's also on there a proofreading checklist and our literacy map that we use in lessons, which will support your child at home with their home learning. The proofreading checklist has 10 points on there, and often we will use that to say, well, before you hand your work in, have a look through these 10 points and check each one. And then when it comes in, it's usually a lot more accurate, and they've also got used to the idea of reading over what they've written. So thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and please do check out all the resources that we have put on there for you. Usually on this evening I would show you students' work, but unfortunately that hasn't really been possible this year. But I do hope that you found all the information useful, and also when your students have their Firefly up and running, please do look at the Key Stage 3 English area, and all the resources are on there as well. Thank you very much for listening.